Missiles are flying high, Satan is flying low, so you better be ready to go. Let's go. Let's go. The world is in a spin, trouble's coming to you, time and time again. Now is the time to be born again. Do it now, the world is about to end. Smoking dope and drinking seems to be the way to go. Don't you go, oh no, my friend, you're my friend. You know Jesus is the answer, he'll give you new life, he'll take you in, he'll take you in.
Hello everyone, welcome to another End Times 4565 video. And you know, I find the comment section of my channel one of the most interesting places I've been to in a long time. It amazes me how many folks know what's going on and how many people just don't have a clue. But ladies and gentlemen, you see, I'm on a mission. And I'm on a mission to tell you the facts of what I see and what's happening. Now, the fact of the matter is, YouTube is still a free world. And if you don't like my beard or my bald head or something like that, you don't have to watch it. You don't like my music, you don't like what I say, by all means, index finger me. It's not a problem. Because I don't monetize any of my videos because I'm not on YouTube to make money. If I was on YouTube to make money, I would do everything I could to get past all these copyright slaps. But there's too much information out there to do an end around or start telling lies. There's just no time for that. And so, that's the way it is. End Times 4565, Poleshift News. If you look on your screen here, you'll see we have the latest graph of the plotting of the Poleshift, of the pole and the shift. But what you want to notice here, we're continuing in this straight line, but also you want to look at these arrows. Because these arrows tell us where we were back then. We're here now, and the first time they started that, it was here, same date. Same date, then was, the next date then was red, it was here, and then it was here, and then it was here. Whatever the year it was, according to the colors, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that the earth is slowing down. Now, even if it wasn't in a wobble and you could put it back over here in a nice little circle, it's still behind. And it's obviously not behind because it's outside of the circle, as in geometry. We're right in between these two, and yet and still, we're lagging behind. 12 days and counting. It could be even more than 12 days right now. Unbeknownst to anyone else that has said anything about this, such as, well, there's only one person that really uses this graph that I know of, and, you know, I don't do all his quote-unquote scientific astronomy research. I'm just looking at what I see. Now, I happen to trust this website, and I believe that this is where it is. And since that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, I can see the Earth is slowing down. No doubt about it. Even in between these two, it isn't a geometric problem. It's not a geometry problem, like the further out in the circle you go, the longer it takes to get around, because it's in the middle now of these circles, and still it's slowing down. Because why? Because the Earth's rotation is slowing down. That's why. You're looking at it right here. Now, I would like for someone to come on and rebut me and say, no, it isn't. Oh, fine. Then let's discuss why this plotting is getting so far behind the last 2 or 3 years. Reason is slowing down. That's why. Why is it slowing down? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I thought you'd never ask. It's slowing down because of the incoming objects. Now, this is what I call them. I don't call them wormwood, Nibiru, Herculoid, all them other names, Nemesis, none of all them other things. I call it the incoming objects. The blue Kachina, the red Kachina, I call it the incoming objects. Because I don't know which of those other objects it could be. Well, we're definitely getting a visit from something from outside of our solar system that has just entered into our solar system deeply and very, very close to the Earth, and the Earth is feeling the pressure like you would never believe, ladies and gentlemen. And this ain't fear-mongering. This ain't no joke. I'm going to tell you right now, this Earth is in travail. Serious travail. So we see here that the Earth is slowing down. Now, and it's still wobbling, 21.5 to 25.5 or so, just wobbling away like a spinning top that's fixing to drop. Well, maybe our spinning top is fixing to drop. You know what I mean? Physics, ladies and gentlemen. Magnetics, physics. These things in science are facts. Facts. Now, let's see if I can go here. Now, here's what I want you to look at right here. Right here, ladies and gentlemen, we see the jet stream. This is the jet stream as of right now. It doesn't take a super smart person to see that this equator, this very hot air, this very hot air is being picked up from the equator. Now, all you have to do is follow it on this jet stream, and it's coming up here across Central America and being picked up by a fractured Arctic jet stream. Actually, the Arctic jet stream, ladies and gentlemen, does not exist at this time. So this hot air is being intermixed with this cool air, moving north up toward Greenland. And this dip right here, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to create another huge storm over Europe. It's catching this, it's got to be condensing, catching this, and then zooming across Africa. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we see here Europe. Europe has been inundated by winds, blasted by storms. Spain is catching it right now, ladies and gentlemen. Portugal, Northern Africa. Now this jet stream comes up here and bolts straight south, ladies and gentlemen. Unheard of. Straight south, right into Israel. Right into Israel and the Mediterranean Sea. Now, you must also remember that Italy's under the pressure from the core. That's another subject we'll discuss. Now, without any further ado here, let's just look at America and the two poles, if I can. Bear with me a minute. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the top of the earth, right here. Now, do you see an Arctic jet stream? The answer is no. It's gone. It's fractured. It's all but gone. Comes along here. It's cut off. Dips down to the south. Ladies and gentlemen, this Arctic jet stream is in a mess. And I wish Paul Beckwith would come back on here and explain to us exactly what's happening to this Arctic jet stream. And I hope Paul Beckwith has enough sense to understand that it ain't global warming, ladies and gentlemen. This is a physical problem. Now, to further my case, I want to look at the Antarctic jet stream. Oh, yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Fractured. Worse. Huge storms. Unbelievable. This is insanity. This jet stream is not even supposed to be this way, especially with this dip right here. This dip right here shows you that there's definitely a problem on the southern part of our planet. And that problem, ladies and gentlemen, is a pull from the south. The Earth's wobble, the magnetosphere, the magnetopause, under tremendous pressure from something. Now, with that being said, I'll go to the next chart. Now, this is the volcanic gases or sulfide gases that is normally caused typically from volcanic activity or from gas from within our planet. Now, looking right here, ladies and gentlemen, let's zoom in on the United States. Now, we see here, let's start right here. We see in Central America, in Guatemala, we already have active volcanoes all over this region. But this heavy SO right here, so heavy that it's pulling it off into the Pacific, is a telltale sign. We see here in Cuba and the Dominican Republic, issues from SO gases. Puerto Rico, these Cayman Islands, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on up to Mexico. Oh, look at it going. Now, we have looked at some of these, and we know that this is a volcanic, old dormant volcanic area. Indeed, it's fixing to wake up. You see it right here? Once again, SO is heating up, ladies and gentlemen. Look at Kilauea. The reason it's heating up, ladies and gentlemen, is from the core of the Earth, feeling the pressure. The core of our planet is heating up. It's a symptom. It's a symptom of this incoming object. You know, we have a lot of people that claim they know what's going on, but we've never been here before. None of us has been alive when this happened before, ladies and gentlemen. All we have to go on is history books and the Bible. You know, we try to correlate it with the Bible because we believe in the Bible, and the Bible tells us of these things. Now, I want you to know that this SO gases are once again picking up in Southern California and Northern California. And Canada, ladies and gentlemen, this is unprecedented. This means something is going to break. Did anyone look at the Yellowstone sunset yesterday? What did you see? Yes, we saw the Northern Lights, ladies and gentlemen. The Northern Lights were dancing away in Yellowstone. That's a little bit far south for now, wouldn't you think? Why? Because of the electricity and the magnetic disturbance and disruption. Our planet is fighting for survival. The New Madrid is continuing to gas out. Gassing out, and it's just falling out all over the central and eastern states. But most of this is coming straight from the New Madrid right here. That's what it is. Of course, we can't count out Yellowstone is continuing to gas, heat up, and swell up. Now, I don't know which one's going to go first. I don't know if the supervolcano in Italy under Naples is going to go first, or if Yellowstone is going to go first. But I'm going to tell you, on opposite sides of the planet, say over here, there's tremendous pressure, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see that the SO gases are incredible. And you would say, well, this is pollution. No, we're not looking at CO2 here. We're not looking at carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. We're looking at SO. And of course, we know that Mount Etna down here is awakening, and I have news for that. But I digress. And so we can see. Now, I don't know if I can do this here. By the way, you need to keep a watch on Southern Africa and this spot here. But Southern Africa, ladies and gentlemen, we need to watch out for it. Something is going on right here. Okay? What is that, Cape Town or something? Somewhere right in there? Okay, now look. We come down to the Antarctic, and once again, we have a problem here. Another problem down here in Antarctica. And here. These had all but disappeared, but now they're back. Now, I want to show you something very scary if you live in Australia. If you live in Australia and you're watching this video, I sure wish you could leave us a comment. Tell us what you guys are saying about your continent. What are your volcanic activities and earthquakes? Because something big is going on in Australia, ladies and gentlemen. There's no doubt about it. And of course, we see here these Solomon Islands, and here, and of course, these islands here, and of course, China and Japan, ladies and gentlemen, are always in the stink zone. Okay, but there it is. It's huge, it's heavy, it's unbelievable. Glad you don't live there. And of course, Kilauea on the Big Island is streaming. That gas goes a long ways down in the Pacific right there before it thins out and becomes disrupted. And it's really something to note. So now I have another graph to show you as I try to move along. Ladies and gentlemen, this chart here is the carbon dioxide gases. Now, I want to show you this because it's been scrubbed for quite some time, but now it's back on. Of course, we know this is the equator, and this is the northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. And we see a concentration beginning to build on this side of the Rocky Mountains and that. This is very interesting because it's settling, and I believe indeed that this could be an anomaly, especially where the big industries are, and yet we see almost nothing showing on this map. And we see some waves. These waves are due to the jet stream. It moves this stuff around. But here's what I want to show you, is this. Now, you don't have to be an expert to see that there's something wrong with the southern hemisphere here. This jungle, ladies and gentlemen, something's going on here. Look at this increase of carbon dioxide in the southern hemisphere. Look at it. Some of these places, it's almost deadly. Like here in Australia, 399 parts per billion. Come on. That's incredible. I mean, it's just incredible. And then when we come up here to see China and Japan, and we would expect to see pollution gases here. But no, we don't see anything here. We see in the Himalayas, but we don't see anything over here. That's why I think that SO gas in China is suspect. And Japan. Once again, you see these trips here, that's from the jet stream. But what I wanted you to note, all I want to note is southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere, there's a difference. Why is the southern hemisphere worse? Because that is where the incoming objects are approaching us from the south. Below. Very close now, ladies and gentlemen. And with that being said, let's catch a couple of headlines. Now, here's a story about Fireball. This Fireball came over Pakistan today, and it caused panic. A bright meteor fireball illuminated the sky over northern Pakistan around 1600 UTC time on Wednesday, March 15th. That was yesterday, causing panic among residents. The object was traveling very low and was followed by several powerful blasts, or sonic booms, 5 seconds after it went by. 5 seconds. So I don't know, what is that, 5 miles? So it went by and lit up the town 5 miles away. It panicked people. I don't know, isn't it about a second per mile? Something like that. You remember when you was a kid used to count, see the flash of lightning and 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi? Okay. Yeah. When you hear the thunder, that's how many miles away it was. Well, this was 5 seconds later. And speaking of fireballs, ladies and gentlemen, I want to discuss that right now, if I can find it. I have it here somewheres. Okay. This here is a list of the most recent fireballs, and it's not all of them. This is just the ones that broke the sound barrier. And we can see from the first of the year, or let's just March right here. So this month alone, we've seen all of these fireballs, and look, U.S., 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 France, U.S., 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 France. Hello? These are fireballs that broke the sound barrier. These are the states that heard it. Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky. This was in Oregon, Florida, Mississippi, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, New Hampshire. Ladies and gentlemen, all of these fireballs broke the sound barrier, and some of them had both types, D and C sound, and some had fragments fall. Noted that they had fragments. These fireballs are big enough to make it through the atmosphere into the lower atmosphere before they exploded. And some left fragments, meaning they made it all the way to the ground. But since March, look at all of the fireballs in the U.S. And by the way, this isn't just the U.S. stuff here. They record all the fireballs from around the world. But lately, in the last couple of months, most of the fireballs have been in the United States. Is the U.S. and Atlantic Ocean in the target, ladies and gentlemen? You're looking at it right here. Now, that being said, let's continue to move on, because some of you get kind of bored with me. But, I don't have any music playing, so there it is. Okay, now, let's look at the solar system. Okay. This is the solar system, and this is today. Now, once again, I want to talk to you about this. Once again, I'm not an astronomer, but I know some things about some things. And some parts of physics you don't have to guess about. Physics is what it is. And the planetary connections through magnetic fields is a reality. It's physics. These planets are like giant magnets floating around. Giant magnets floating around in space, which makes them rotate and turn and have orbits and tilt and seasons. They're like machines. They're like little machines. And our sun, ladies and gentlemen, is telling us exactly what's happening. Because with all the mass disruptions in our magnetic field, yet the sun remains silent. The sun is a silent witness to the facts. Okay, so this is Earth and this is today. Now watch this. I want to show you this real quick one more time. I'm going to come around. I'm going to come around. Whoop. See about right here. See the moon right there. Now look. See this spot right here? This is Earth. This is Venus. And this is Mercury. And the moon right there. And there's Jupiter and Saturn. And somewhere right in here is an incoming object. Okay? Note the date, ladies and gentlemen. The date is April 22nd, 2017. Now, I'm not a date fixer, but I told you that between last video and June the 20th, going to be a wild ride. Now, I don't know how wild it's going to get. Nobody does. But if we note the events we've had, the chaotic weather, ladies and gentlemen, just from my last video and animal deaths, it is on the increase. And when we get here, the magnetic connections between the planets, between Saturn and Jupiter and the sun, and this incoming object, I can't begin to tell you the trouble we're going to be in. Now, I don't know, but I don't think I'd want to be anywhere around Los Angeles and San Francisco and the Oregon coast anywhere around April the 22nd or April at all. But at any rate, this is a date to remember. Only because I know the magnetic connections between planets and our sun and the incoming objects. Remember, the incoming objects are huge magnets. Some say could be even as big as Jupiter. Why we can't see them? Because they're dark stars, dwarfs, dark stars. And besides, ladies and gentlemen, some people say the sun's hiding them. Well, okay, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. When that baby gets into connection with all this right here, it's going to be a shake 'em up. Shake 'em up. So, with that being said, closing in on 30 minutes, I'm so sorry. I have a little more. Now, due to the constraints of time, I'm not going to be able to play as much of this as I want. But I want you to notice here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try to go through this with you. Now, notice this timestamp. It's the 16th and 12:46 UTC time. And I'm going to go all the way up to the latest picture. Now, on the 15th at 2000 hours, it was incredible. Now, here's what I want to tell you. You need to go to Pete Whitco's channel. I'll leave a link to his video in my description. You need to watch that video. Here's why. Because Pete captured it before it was scrubbed. Okay? Now, in Pete's video, he says, is this reality or a machine gone wild? Okay, well, if it was a machine gone wild, it would have been left on there and they would have put on the screen machine gone wild. This machine gone crazy. But instead, ladies and gentlemen, they scrubbed it. And then they replaced it with normal magnetopause. How dumb can you be? We haven't had a normal magnetopause in months. What, all of a sudden we're going to have 2 or 3 days of normal? No, ladies and gentlemen, it's because the truth was scrubbed. The truth was scrubbed. Now, if you watched the magnetopause and you missed it because it was changed when you got there, remember now, it was off the air for a while. It was off the air for a while. But Pete, I believe Pete caught the real problems. In fact of the matter is, the Earth hasn't caught up yet since that time. Still in trouble. And we're going to look at it right now. Remember to go to the description box, and I'll leave it in the description box below. You have to go to Pete's website and see what he captured. I'm so glad that he did, because they're really trying to hide this stuff. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you don't need me to give you commentary to see. You know that this is plasma. Now, let's just stop it right here for a second. This looks not so bad. But if you'll notice, the interplanetary magnetic field is split right here. Reason, plasma from the south, from our southern part of our planet. Remember, this is looking down. This is underneath us, looking down. Notice how close it's trying to envelop the planet. Look at it. It gets closer and closer, and all the while, it's disturbing the magnetopause. And the Earth's core is heating up. The closed loops are just blowing up with bursts of magnetic activity, as well as our polar caps. Let's go. You see here, it doesn't look too bad, but you got to look at the blue lines. Stop. Did you see these blue lines right here? Which way are they going, ladies and gentlemen? On 1526 UTC time, they're going backwards. The plasma is pushing up from the bottom. See how it messes up our polar magnetosphere? Okay, continuing. Yeah, some people say I don't use big words. I don't like using big words. I'm just telling you what I see. I have to show it to you. Some of you don't watch it anywhere else here, but here. Okay, stop. We see here the closed loops are getting pulled out. The loops and the interplanetary magnetic field is continuing to be chopped. Once again, the plasma is trying its best to encroach upon our frontal. It's tried to make a frontal assault. Here we go. Continuing. We're almost done, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, notice the interplanetary magnetic fields going backwards. Uh-oh. Did you see that this closed loop came from behind? As this was pulled back, it came back in a loop, like a backwash, like this plasma is doing a blackwash and pushing upon us. I believe this is truly what's causing the wobble. And here, see this, ladies and gentlemen? At March the 16th, at 1959 UTC time, we had a blast of magnetics explode out of our planet from the core. This is an explosion of magnetics, ladies and gentlemen, because the Earth is being troubled. Okay? We'll continue. We're about done. Notice once again the Earth's magnetics gone crazy, which is why we saw the northern lights in Yellowstone. Coming now to the end. And this would be the latest that I have is 2055-21. Notice the plasma. It's still encroaching, going further and further. Notice the polar cap magnetic field as it's just bursting from the planet, from the north and the south, because the Earth is being troubled. Now, this report was a little long, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not going to apologize for it because it is what it is. And I'm going to stop now. But what I want you to understand is, in spite of all of my trolls and people that give me crazy comments, and, you know, sometimes I get frustrated and I answer back and I might be a smart aleck or something. Listen, I've been old. I'm old. Lord have mercy, I'm old. I've been around here a long time. And, you know, sometimes millennials don't want to get a grip on this because it's an electronic age. You know, everybody's in an electronic world. Nobody knows how to live without an electronic world. But you might ought to start getting used to it, like one day a week, turn everything off, eh? And see what it's like to go a day. Let's try Saturday. Everybody turn everything off on Saturday and leave it off. No phone, no puzzles, no YouTube, no computers. Cut them all off. See if you can do it. No electronics for one day. Can't do it, can you? Because you're addicted and you're hooked, just like the elite want you to be. They want you to have tremors when you don't have your electronics. They want you to freak out and lose your mind, go crazy. It's all a clever trick, ladies and gentlemen. You need to learn how to live on your own. Survive. Survive, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about survival. On your own, without stealing from somebody else, killing somebody else. Face your own reality, your own world, your own way. God help you if you try it alone. And that's my point. You need the Lord to help you. He is the provider. He will provide. He will protect. It's not a fable, ladies and gentlemen. What was it President Trump said? He ain't got nothing to lose. He ain't got nothing to lose, man. Nothing. Just get you some. Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone watching my channel. And yes, it's true. I do have subscribers. And I want to celebrate 2,000 subscribers. Who would have believed it? That I would have made 2,000 subscribers. I love you all. I pray for you daily. Oh, by the way, I passed my heart work. Everything's good. Looks like I'm going to be with you till the end. Ain't that glad? So y'all have a safe day, and I have a couple more videos I want to make. That may not be Poleshift videos, but things we need to discuss. That being said, God bless. I'll see you on the next one. And Jesus is coming soon.